Hi, welcome to Using the Factory Pattern. In this section, we are going to take a look at many subclasses, many problems, outsourcing to a factory, and implementing the factory pattern with Kotlin. Many subclasses, many problems. In this video, we are going to take a look at the problem with having multiple subclasses, creating objects without directly using the constructor, and practical uses of the factory pattern. The problem with having multiple subclasses. Subclasses are generally a very good principle to use in software design. However, working with them can get confusing if there are many subclasses. Oftentimes, there can be many subclasses that serve a very specific purpose, but you can have a hard time figuring out which one to use. Wouldn't it be nice to provide some parameter to some function and just be given the subclass that you need? Well, this is where the factory pattern comes in. Creating objects directly without using the constructor. Creating objects using a constructor has a few drawbacks. The first is that you have to know the precise class or subclass that you need. Otherwise, you might create a subclass object unintentionally using the constructor for the main class. You might deal with a long list of parameters. We've all dealt with constructors that have 15 parameters in them, and you just get lost in all the parameters. If the constructor changes, you have to change the usage code as well. If the constructor has a lot of parameters, makes it that much worse. Practical uses of the factory pattern. So let's say we have a car class. This is just a class that holds the properties of a car. The constructor takes 15 parameters, including the make, model, wheel, style, etc., etc. Whatever other factors you can think of, trunk size, etc. It is easier to create a factory function or a factory method for each car to be used when needed. So here we have a factory method. Without going too far into detail, essentially what it does is it creates a car for you and then it returns it. So it's a public static method and it's called getHondaAccord. Now what it does is the first time it creates a car using the car constructor, it passes in the type of car, Honda, the name of the car, which is Accord, the trim that you pass in. From the trim, it gets the engine, the wheels, the color, the interior color, the horsepower, etc. It plugs all of that into the constructor and it returns it to you. And as you can see, it's much easier to invoke carFactory.getHondaAccord than it is to say car equals new car and passing in all those parameters again. So creating this helpful factory method one time and then using it whenever you want makes usage of this function much easier than it is than having to manually invoke the constructor over and over again on your own.